So, this is where we're going to be. This is the silver shop. And you are Ian?
Hi, hello, how are you?
Fine.
Yes.
So, we just came into this beautiful Powerscourt shopping center.
Yeah, this is just nice and close to Grafton Street, the main shopping street. And it's a wonderful 18th century building. This is the original house that belonged to the Earls of Powerscourt, and this house was primarily used for entertaining. It wasn't a house that was basically here for sleeping in a normal house as a townhouse. It's, I don't know quite how large, but it's an extremely large house, wonderful plasterwork, and certainly a place to visit. So there's lots of interesting things that go on in the centre. There's lots of functions, weddings, all sorts of different parties as well. And there's eating facilities and lots of different shops.
Absolutely, because as I understood, this was opened as a shopping mall in 1981.
1981, yes, it was developed. It used to be originally a clothing company who owned it, and they bought it, I think, from the original family in the 1920s. And the situation was that they had a company here called Ferrier Pollux, which a lot of people in Ireland will know the name of. And this was then sold in the 1970s, and then a Cork developer called Robin Power developed the centre based on the idea of Covent Garden in London.
Very good, yeah, very famous.
And a very well known.
So there used to be like 69 shops when it opened?
No, not right, 64 shops originally.
Okay.
There's about 35 currently, because a lot of them have amalgamated over the years.
Exactly.
And, originally it set up really as a very interesting, small, quirky, different sort of shopping centre with very nice, interesting individual tenants, not big companies. It was based on the concept of having a centre that was there for small shops that produced and developed and sold very nice, unusual things that you just normally don't get around the place.
Very good. So now, as you told, there are only 3 shops left from this beginning.
I'm afraid there's only 3 of us, of which I'm one of the original tenants. You can tell I'm getting a little older now, but it's only 3 of us left.
Okay, Ian, now we start talking business, and that's about silver, because silver is your business.
Silver is my business,
and now you have to tell,
obviously.
how did you get involved with silver in the first place?
Okay, I became involved in silver when I was about 15 years of age. I met a gentleman who was a big collector of Irish silver in those days, and he said he wanted to pass on all the information that he had gained and earned and learnt all over the years. And consequently, he said he wanted to find someone young who he could tutor, really. And he was in his 60s, called the late Dr. Kurt Tisher, and he very kindly introduced me to silver and brought me in the late 1960s into the world of silverware, and started to introduce to me how things were made, the idea of the hallmarking system, the manufacture, the makers, the important pieces, what was normal, what was different. So I had a very good skill, shall I say, indoctrinated to me, maybe not quite a strong word I don't need to use.
Okay, Ian, so you were a very extremely experienced silver man, so to speak, already 40 years or something.
That's correct, yes.
So you are totally knowledgeable.
Yes,
of course.
I'm always interested to learn more, because this business you never finish learning. You're always learning something new, and you're fascinated by it. So anything new that comes your way makes it more valuable to you.
Well, then show me something you want to highlight of your collection.
Well, what I was going to start off with was something that's a particularly Irish piece. This is what they call a silver dish ring. Now, a silver dish ring was originally used in the 18th century. It started in Ireland in about 1720, and these objects were just spools of silver, pierced and decorated, and these were used on your dining room table. And the idea would be that when you brought up your meat or your vegetable or whatever it was on a hot silver platter, you wouldn't put it onto your lovely mahogany table, but you'd have this spool on the table and you put your plate on top of it.
To protect the mahogany wood from the heat.
Exactly.
So you put the plate here, exactly,
Yeah. And then the idea was this kind of went out of fashion around 1800. So 1720 to about 1800. Then at the end of the 19th century, around the 1890s, there was what they call the Celtic Revival. And you have a lot of pieces that were produced in previous eras, reproduced and brought back into circulation, for want of a better word. This was made in 1913, a little bit later, and this is probably based on the Book of Kells. It is a wonderful piece with lots of Celtic decoration and mythological type birds, and you'll see all this in the Book of Kells. It's really quite an interesting piece.
Book of Kells, people can Google, they know exactly what it is then. It's very famous, so...
And then they decided that to make it a more function, because in those days obviously they weren't necessarily with hot silver platters, they put a blue glass liner in it. And the idea of the blue glass liner was that you could use it on the center of your dining room table, and you could use it for a bunch of flowers or anything that you wanted, or just sitting as a nice piece of silver.
Okay, let's go to the other object.
Okay, then I decided to produce this piece, and I asked if the gentleman here knew exactly what it was.
And I didn't.
Which I thought made it a bit more interesting.
Yeah. So you can tell me what it is.
Okay, this is a marrow scoop. Now, marrow scoop, one immediately thinks of vegetable marrows, but in fact this was meant to scoop out the marrow from the bone of an animal, and this was a delicacy in the 18th century.
Very good.
And you just scoop out the marrow,
exactly.
and that's
Okay,
it.
and
So this
that's
is it.
And then the third object you want to show?
The third one then is a very nice melon-shaped teapot, the sort of thing that a lot of people could still use in this day and age. This was made in 1834, and you would maybe have had a 3 or 4 piece tea set like this, and they call it melon because it's like a squashed melon shape.
Exactly.
And it has a nice finial to it, and then you put your tea inside and serve it away. And these are quite the sort of pieces that you think it'll only take 2 or 3 cups, but they probably take about 8 cups. They're very deceptive, really. And your hallmarking system is normally on the bottom of these pieces. For Irish silver, you have a harp and a hibernia, the 2 Dublin symbol marks, and a maker's mark and a year letter as well. And these can all be checked as regards who the actual maker was, the year it was made, and what town it was made in. This is kind of quite interesting as well for even younger people nowadays, because it's like a code. It's like
exactly,
an interesting old-fashioned code of how old something was, but it was actually meant as a quality and a sense that the silver has to be 92.5%.
Okay, another question is about your customers. Don't talk in much length about it, but I'm only interested in what are the motives to buy?
A lot of people buy, well, first of all, a lot of people love the sparkle of silver. I mean, that's really nice, and people give out because it gets tarnished, but our keyboards get tarnished too, so we have to polish those too. So polishing silver can also be a joy. But the people who tend to buy are the type of people who want to buy maybe a nice gift, a presentation piece. We would have a lot of private individuals who come and they buy something like a christening present, which would be maybe something like a silver spoon. And you probably all know the proverb of a child being born with a silver spoon in its mouth. The idea of a silver spoon was actually meant as a therapeutic idea. It wasn't meant as a child that was necessarily from a rich background or whatever, but if they were eating with lead or pewter, this could poison the child. So silver actually meant that the child survived much longer.
Okay, we have to now come to the end of the video, because it's already quite long, but that's no problem, because it's very interesting. Is about, this is of course small business. How do you see the future of these kind of small businesses in Ireland in these times which are troubled for so many reasons? What can you say about that?
Personally, I feel that the small business should be encouraged, and I think that what's very important is that a lot of people should go out and try and ensure that they promote and help these small businesses, because they're the interest factor for any city. I mean, you can travel all around the world and you can walk through the main streets and you'll meet the ordinary larger stores and you won't know which country you're in even. Whereas the smaller stores are different, quirky, interesting. They're the type of things that are really the lifeblood of a city.
Thank you very much, Ian. I think it was a great video, and I wish you all the success in business.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
See you the next 20 years.
Okay.